Good afternoon and welcome to Conversations on Showing Up for Kids. My name's Tim Markle. I'm director of the Southern Regional Center for Children and Youth with Special Health Care Needs. We hold conversations. We try to hold them weekly, at least during the school year, as a space for families and our champions to get together and talk about stuff, because life is full of stuff. And so we want to give space to be able to talk about that stuff. We want to be able to give space to learn about more stuff, but we really want to try to have discussions and learn from each other. And so today we're going to talk about family-built support systems, which, if any of you knew me building anything supportive is not a good idea. I've had many coffee tables and many bookshelves that have not held anything. So me building, not a great idea. But I know all of you all have built support systems around you because you have been successful in this life doing that. So what we're going to talk about is the fact that when we talk to families, they tell us it doesn't just take a village, as someone said, this Pearl's quote, it takes a mafia or a mom-fia, which I thought was really fun. You need a mom-fia to help find your solutions with denials, doctor referrals, IEPs, transition stuff, everything in between. And so today we want to talk about what are some different ways that y'all have built support systems around you, because let's be honest, when we have children, they don't come with built-in support systems. We have the people around us who we have, and sometimes the closest people that help us are not our closest relatives. And so we sometimes have to go out and look for and find and build those support systems. So to start, Pearl, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about support and what you've learned along the way?
So hello, everyone. My name is Pearl Fessenden. I've been adopted by Tim into his conversations segments. I'm in northern Wisconsin, so I'm in Oneida County, which is an hour north of Highway 29, where everybody tends to forget that we exist in Wisconsin.
So
Super rural, but
basically you're in Canada. Or the
almost
UP.
like
You're part of the
there's still
UP, right?
Michigan
Right?
to
Yeah.
get through, but
Yeah.
yeah, close enough. Yeah. I have 5 children. 3 already out of the house and doing their thing, and I have 2 children still at home, and both of them have disabilities. My son has autism and an intellectual disability, and my daughter has ADD, ADHD, and autism, anxiety, and depression. So that's like a mouthful. They should have an acronym for it. My boy is also still considered nonverbal, and he's 15, sophomore now. Ugh. But we're navigating it, and we're navigating the teenage boy stuff of not wanting to hold mommy's hand anymore, even though we don't understand the dangers of cars and how to stay on sidewalks. But we're navigating it. We're getting there. And so support for me, super important. I was blessed enough to, in essence, be able to pick where I wanted to raise my kids. And so we chose northern Wisconsin. I'm originally from Texas, and everybody's like, Pearl, why did you move across the country? Don't get me wrong, Texas has a lot of great supports and they do a lot of great things specifically for autism that most states don't. However, Wisconsin was where my husband's family is at. So we thought having his family to help support would be great, as my parents have already passed on. So we chose Wisconsin. Then we started looking in Wisconsin to see what we wanted to do. And I love Southern Wisconsin, Tim. I do. I think what you guys have for supports down there is amazing. But it couldn't outweigh the long-term thought process of what I had for my children. And so
what is it that makes that important? Because I do believe that our environments and where we are can make a difference in how we are. So
right.
what is it that's so important for you and your family that the North works for you?
So I had the experience when my 15-year-old was younger of living in a large city, and I'm talking population over 1 million. And so agencies, organizations, play groups, support groups, all of that was there was a plethora. You could pick and choose days and times that worked down different locations in the city, and there was always something going on to include these kids. I mean, they have their own version of Special Olympics per district where I was at. And then district would compete then city, and then city would then compete county, and then county would then send the kids to state Olympics. I mean, that's how much of a plethora of services there were, just as an example. And while that was all wonderful, I got a first taste of what I didn't like. And that was knowing that while the services were there in place to help my children succeed and help me succeed as a parent raising my children, it wasn't the quote unquote village that I would need long term. It was something that was there, readily available, but they wouldn't carry over um, like the same case manager or the same TA or the same aide, right? Or the same speech therapist. Even in community care, right? We would be doctors would be coming and going, different nurses, different therapists in the community would even bounce in and out. So with the diagnosis of autism, routine we found was very, very important for my son. It might not be for all children on the spectrum, but for my son, routine is very important, which is why it's great that he's my son, because I am retired military and routine is my thing. Like I live, breathe that stuff. So then I started thinking, well, where can I get what I'm so desperately looking for? The village that I want for my children. And I wanted a village where the sacrifice would be I would be giving up a plethora of availability of agencies and organizations and support groups. And the trade-off for me was worth it because I'm thinking long term. I wanted the kids that went to school with my son in kinder, which is when we moved up there, to be the adults that would interact with him when he was an adult and I was long gone. We're in a small town. A lot of them stay here. So the kids that he went to school with would then be the people that worked at the grocery store, the doctors, the police officers, the nurses, the managers of prospective employment for him. They might be landlords that could potentially be someone who would give him housing and understand his needs because they went to school with him.
And what I've also heard is that even in smaller towns, is
Yeah.
that it can sometimes be isolating as a family
Yes,
with special healthcare needs, and
very much so.
that the either big or small towns, the proximity of people doesn't seem to matter. It seems to be the quality of the people.
Yes.
Do you have any ways that you went to find to build those quality supports that will be with your kids forever? Did you like take out ads in the newspaper, a
If
bell
only
on
it
the
was that
corner?
easy, like just to post something
Right?
on Facebook or Twitter
Wouldn't
and
that be
just be like,
great?
hey, you know,
Looking for
um,
lifelong support for my friend, for my son.
yeah, yeah. I will say it's not easy. It's not an overnight fix. What I have and what the quality that I have built with my tribe of moms took years to cultivate.
Can you just talk a little bit about how you cultivated that tribe of moms, your own personal mom-fia?
Yeah, so for me, it started, I didn't know anybody here
And
in northern Wisconsin.
does that make you the mom father?
No,
Girl, I
we've
got it.
all we've all decided that no one of us is ever above the other. And we all come in with open minds and no judgment. That is the core of our thing. And when we welcome new moms into our group, we let them know that there is no drama. If you have an issue with a person and you don't feel comfortable speaking to them, you pull one of us aside and we will then help mediate it, because sometimes personalities just don't mesh, right? Um, but there's
Yeah,
never any
my
judgment.
bad, and I interrupted you, so I'm going to
Sure.
interrupt you again. Go on back. How did you form? How did this mafia have you?
So
You
so
said that
for
it
me,
took
I
time.
didn't know anybody in this town when I moved up here. I'm from Texas. So I needed to make friends. And it was like the new kid in school all over again, moving halfway through the year, right? Like relationships have already been established, cliques have already been formed. I'm sure everybody's rolling their eyes when they think back to like freshman year. Imagine being the new kid again, right? Just, oh, horrible. But one thing that I'm good at is volunteering. And I decided then to volunteer at the school. One, because it would give me an idea of what kind of education my son was receiving, what kind of services were available, and to get a feel for other parents who were volunteering at the school as well. I figured starting with something to where maybe I had a chance to meet parents that shared a similar interest with me was going to be the best bet. And I love volunteering. Like that's my bread and butter. I love it. We were just joking earlier that I can never say no to a volunteer position. I love volunteering. So I wanted to surround myself with parents that volunteered as well. And I thought that would be a good way to base a foundation of something that we had in common. Now, I can tell you that the first few friendships I made were disastrous. Um, Horrible, horrible, but I didn't give up. And I continued to volunteer. And the next thing I know, they're asking me to attend parent advisory meetings that the school had. That a group of parents got together and they would kind of discuss fundraisers for the school and where the money would be spent for the kids. And I thought that was really interesting. And so I wanted to go to a few of those meetings and see what it was about. Well, those few meetings led to me then volunteering for that group and taking part in like putting together the school fair and Christmas shopping and school pictures, all that fun jazz. And then I met more parents, parents that volunteered only for those particular events because they work. And then that grew to me getting to know other parents that maybe didn't attend the meetings, weren't at the school volunteering as much, but I seem to have more in common with. And then that changed to me volunteering more for the activities in the school as opposed to just like in the classrooms and so forth, which led me to meet more parents. And some of them were hit and miss. Like you think it was great, we'd get together for coffee, and then I wouldn't hear from them for like 3 or 4 months. And they hear that you have special needs kids, and next thing you know, that's just not what they're looking for in like a mom friendship. They want someone for play dates and play groups, and my kids weren't into that. So, I'm sorry, but can't, right? Um, Eventually through lots and lots of trial and error, I made a friend who volunteered with me for the one of the activities for the school. We were going to slime the principal. The kids were stoked. And we were making the edible slime out of pudding. And me and her just got to talking, and I found out that she had a suspicion that her youngest was on the spectrum as well and was completely lost on what to do. And she said that she had heard from other parents that I had two autistic kiddos. And so she felt that maybe I would be able to steer her in the right direction. So we talked, and we talked about the birth to 3 program because at the time her son was under 3. And we talked about transition then to special education at the age of 3 and how to go about evaluations and um, that the diagnosis wouldn't change how she felt about her son. And it wouldn't change how I felt about her. And so we just instantly clicked over that conversation. We both kind of cried, and I went with her to therapy appointments. I went with her when she got the diagnosis. Um, and we are still to this day best friends. And that was the first person to enter my actual mom-fia. Um,
And sometimes it's hard when you have that close friendship then to extend to
yes,
invite other people in. How did you
yes,
manage to do that without, oh, we got something really cool and really special. We don't want to affect that.
right. So for me, I found I wanted a group that brought something different to the table. Somebody each brought something different. And we all tease each other about it because I'm the bad influence, they say. And then we've got the holy one that prays for everybody. And then we've got the one that everybody thinks is really nice and turns out to be snarky, which is my bestie. And she calls it like it is. But she'll make anybody laugh no matter how bad of a day they're having. So she's kind of the jokester of the group. And then we've got the one that's the quiet one. Um, and then we've got the one that um, is not some of us don't drink, for example. And so we have one that's like, I will take that drink for you. So we have the ride or die, pour one out for the homie's friend. And then we've got the ride or die, but we've got questions like, is there food on the way? Um, but that at a drop of a hat, they will be there if needed. We might not hear from them all the time, but we know that they're there. And so for me, I wanted somebody that complemented each facet of my personality. And I had this discussion with my bestie about wanting to bring more friends into our group, which besides me and her. And so I wanted to make sure that she knew no one was replacing her. She wasn't giving me something that I was lacking. It was just wanting to build something that could help support me in whatever life may throw at me and my children. And because she had just gotten a diagnosis as well for her son, she understood. And she's like, I think it would be great to have other moms that maybe we can just kind of, our the original idea was going to be the rotating daycare where we were just going to drop our kids off at each mom's place so we have like a day to ourselves. That's where it originally started. Um, because we would do that for each other already. And so that was the intro to respite for me, was knowing that I had somebody that would take my kids for a day with no issues, no questions asked, willing to accommodate, willing to do modifications, willing to still put child locks on stuff. Um, my son was still liquid fed and she had no judgment on it. Her son was nonverbal, mine was nonverbal. So teaching her about the, picture exchange system and sign language and working on teaching him speech with my son with speech and some of the tricks that I learned in speech because my son was older than her son and my daughter is only a year older than her son. So they bonded instantly. Um, so I had that with her and I was very, very lucky. But it took a lot of searching, a lot. And there was many failed attempts. Like I can't even tell you how many failed attempts. It's like when you buy a lottery ticket and they say 1 out of 6 is gonna be a winner, and you buy 6 tickets and none of them are a winner, it's annoying. But you just have to keep scratching because eventually you will find one. we're out here. We just
Mm-hmm.
have to be found. Um, so that led to us then volunteering together at the school where we met the next one. And then by then we were running the parent advisory council for the school. And little by little, it became known that like all the parents that were on this committee were all special ed parents. Like it was really funny how we all just kind of naturally navigated towards each other. And it was through word of mouth. I was never quiet in this town about my kids' disabilities.
Right.
And it's a small town. So plus side is everybody knows your business. Downside is everybody knows your business.
Mm-hmm.
But that can be even in a big town. That can be the case even in a large city where that group, or the school or the district or that group of parents, like they don't all know your business. There is
Mm-hmm.
always a phone tree in any town, no matter how big or how small. And that phone tree is going to know your business, whether you like it or not. So you might as well just own it. There's nothing to be ashamed about with having a kid with a disability. It is something to be celebrated and be like, yeah, I'm a bad bitch. And what? You know,
Yeah.
yeah, I got a special needs kid. So what? So what? He's still a great kid. I'm still a mom. Him having a disability does not change that title.
Mm-hmm. And it
So,
doesn't change his worth.
correct. He's still a kid. He's
Yeah.
still a human being. He's funny and he is entitled to the same happiness as everyone else.
I'd like to take a pause.
Sure.
And number one, if anybody has questions for Pearl that they want to learn a little bit more about that story, please feel free, raise your
Oh, yes.
hand, unmute, put it in the chat, whatever you would like to do. I would also like to know, Pearl told us her story about how she was able to, over time, form her own mafia. And I know that other people go about finding supports and building supports in possibly different ways as well. So we'd love to hear about how you have found support systems and how you have built that support around your life. Maybe it is with a family. Maybe it is your cousins are your bestest supporters. Maybe it's through your job. There's a lot of ways that we can reach out. I love that, Pearl, you started with that volunteering, about being there to help other people and then found like-minded individuals. So maybe it starts with a hobby. Maybe it starts with school. Maybe it starts with your place of worship. I'm interested in other people's stories about how they are working at forming their support system, or even what you've tried. And Pearl has very honestly said that not everything worked. It didn't work every time. And so feel free if you have something to share that, I tried I tried posting it in the grocery stores and that didn't work. Feel free. We would love to hear from you. So feel free to raise your hand if you know how to do that down at the bottom toolbar, you'll under reactions. You should be able to raise your hand there. If you click on it, it'll say raise hand and I'll be able to see that. I'll also see if you just unmute yourself. I do have the participant list up. And so I will be able to see if somebody all of a sudden unmutes and I'll be able to call on you that way. But please talk to us, talk with us, share your experience as well. What are your thoughts about support systems and family built support systems?
I'm curious if anybody's ever posted on Facebook, by the way,
Mm.
like looking for, you know, play dates or whatever new to the area. I'm curious if anybody has tried that because I did try that. I'm just saying, I did post on the Facebook, which is why I used that as an example because I was the crazy one that posted that in the moms group up here.
Thanks,
I
Amanda.
will I will say there was a moms group that I was a part of from babies as an infant. It was a pretty big group and recent. It's pretty big on Facebook. And recently, somebody in that group, a lot of us, I think, our kids have gotten older, and so obviously, when that happens with a big group of people, there's a good chunk of kids who end up with diagnoses of autism, ADHD, things like that. So a mom started an offshoot of that of a um, group of moms with neurodivergent kids. And so that's been a nice offshoot. I think the tough thing is for me at least is people, and so people have posted on there, want to meet up here, we're going to this special event, at the Children's Museum, if anybody else is going to be there. I feel like it's hard for people to find time for things like that these days, with school taking up a lot of time and work and all of that. So it has a good potential, but I think it's a pretty broad group. Your group is more local for your nice small community within the school, and so I think that's a great idea. Would be to start more with the school level and the parents at the schools. So thank you for that idea of volunteering and getting more involved there.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to give that idea. And the thing is that it doesn't even have to be like all day volunteering. I would go in there for like an hour and make copies, and staple pages that they would color. Um, a couple of times parents would get together after work, to go to the school, to decorate like the doors for the kids of the classrooms, right? Like making the different themes. And so we there were events here for daytime, afternoon, and evening. And I feel like if there's a mom's group already like that for you in your area, maybe bring up the suggestion of having ideas of how to get together, not just different times of the day, but weekdays and weekends. A lot of times parents just think, oh, weekends we're off, right? And not many parents are always off on weekends. And so thinking of how to do something in an evening on a weekday too, even if it's just going to the park, or we're gonna push push the children to exercise, and we'll dangle their tablets on our back as we run away and they have to chase us down flag football style. I mean, really, whatever works. um but a lot of times that's not on people's radars if they don't have that experience. And so don't be afraid to ever bring up suggestions to potential mafia, you know, members. Is, I really want to get together with you guys. I would really love to hang out with you guys, but these days and times don't work for me. Is there a way that you can create something on this day around this time? Because I would love to be a part of it. Usually a lot of these groups have the well intention of wanting to have that village built up, which is why they create the events. But they don't know unless they're told, right? We can't be mind readers. And that was something that we discovered early in our group dynamic as well, is that some of us are morning people, some of us are night owls. Some of us work weekends, some of us are off on Tuesdays, some of us only have Sundays off. And so how do we make that work? And for us, we found group messaging was the best way for our group, just because then it was something that they could check when they had time and could then respond. And we've always had, it's really funny because we'll have like 4 conversations going on at the same time, and how we keep it all in order of knowing what we're all talking about. We get it wrong half the time. I'm just telling you now. Like, we answer the wrong question and they're like, "Why are you bringing up McDonald's?" Well, 2 days ago you guys were asking if the McRib was back, and I'm telling you that it is. And but you know, so and so just asked, is it wrong if I, you know, tripped a girl at Walmart? And you're like, let's do McDonald's. And you're like, what? Like, it is, but no, it's not wrong. And yes, it is wrong. We're like, no, we're talking about a conversation 3 days ago. And then we laugh about it because that's just our dynamic, right? We know that we have had that issue multiple times. The first time it happened, there were some hurt feelings because there was a miscommunication. And so we had to then get on a group call and just kind of talk it out. And
So what I'm hearing,
with
Earl, is that you guys don't have like a regular coffee clutch that you get together and
no,
crochet at, that
no,
it's more as needed. You're reaching out to this group and receiving support and asking questions.
it is. And that's how it was for a few years. And then COVID happened. And we were glad that we had the virtual thing because then we did Mommy Monday cocktails virtually because we were all stuck at home. And so we had the ones that would drink would actually have the cocktails, and the ones of us that don't drink had the mocktails, or you know, a soda or a water or whatever. But it was just getting together and still maintaining that bond, knowing that we were there for each other um, if needed. Um, when COVID restrictions lightened up and we were allowed to intermingle again, we all really talked about how hard COVID affected each of us, whether with our own families, our kids, our own mental health. And the Holy One said that she would pray for everybody during COVID. It was really great. And the other one would say she would take a drink for us for every time somebody said COVID on the news. I mean, it was just she was plastered within like 10 minutes. It was great. Um, but we decided that we wanted to build something more physical, more tangible. And so then we decided that we would start doing theme parties once a month. And we would have it at different houses. And the ones that didn't want to host one at their house didn't have to. Um, as it stands right now, three of us, we bounce between three houses. And we do birthdays, could be the theme for 1 month. You know, we do a happy hollow Thanksmas, which combines Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas all into one meeting. And it's usually in November, and it's usually Widow's Weekend when most of our husbands are out hunting. And we don't want to deal with the shopping and the craziness. So we just do something here and let the kids run wild and do snowball fights or whatever, because we get like 24 feet of snow by then.
Well, that's right. You're in
Um,
the Upper Peninsula. I forgot.
yeah.
Close by, close
Yeah.
by. So
But
it sounds
we
like
do find that the theme parties is something that works, and we all bring a dish, so it's potluck.
Mhm.
Um, and if we don't feel like cooking, then we can contribute money for somebody else then too. I love cooking, so I'm like, I will cook the whole thing. Like I love hosting dinner parties. That's another thing that I enjoy doing. So if the girls don't want to cook, they will each, you know, toss me a 15, $10, $20 to help go towards ingredients because they want this, you know, whatever meal or whatever. And it's just sitting and talking and catching up and letting the kids be kids. And that we don't
Mhm.
have to worry about the judgment if somebody has a meltdown. We don't have to worry about the judgment if, you know, the 14-year-old disabled kid needs a diaper change. We're all willing to help.
Yeah.
Um,
So a
we
couple things that I just want to point out is what I'm hearing is the going in with this attitude of flexibility,
Yes.
that there is a way to find something that works for this group if you're willing to look for it and if you're willing to reach for it and give up a little here to gain a lot over here. That attitude of non-judgment that you were talking about before also seems to be really important. And I love the way that you've also talked about how it's grown and changed over the years. And that goes back to that remaining flexible as well. Is sometimes I know I could get into a mind of, well, this is what it looks like, and we're supposed to meet every Thursday night or once a month, Thursday nights at 6 o'clock, and then somebody took a second shift job. What are we going to do? And it's like, calm down, find something that
Yeah.
works for the group.
And your tribe has to be willing to put in the effort of being flexible. I
Right.
will say that. And that's where I failed many times with other people, was the not willing to be flexible. Well, if we're going to meet every Tuesday, then we're going to meet every Tuesday. And that felt more of like a volunteer commitment than a friendship. And when you think about hanging out with your girlfriends or your guy friends, or members of your church or whatever, your bowling league, sometimes y'all meet up at different days and times because what works for that group, right? So that same mentality then has to be put in for your village. And you have to understand that not everybody is going to contribute the same amount of energy at the
At
same
the
time.
same time. Yeah,
Everybody
exactly.
goes
They can be
through
committed.
hardships at different times.
Yep. Oh, I love that.
So you might be putting in 80% while somebody's struggling putting in 10%, and another person's struggling putting 5%, and another one's struggling putting 5%. You might be carrying it for, a little while, but know that when times come rough, when you can only put in 10% or 5%, if your tribe is willing then to pick up the other 80%, you've got a good tribe.
Mm.
If
Love it.
they are not willing, not that they're not capable. If they're not capable, that's a different ballgame. Like if they're still going through hardships, we get it. But then you have the conversation of honesty and you lay it all out on the table. Guys, I'm going through some really hard times right now. I can't plan this month's get together. I can't text and check in on you guys weekly or whatever. I'm gonna go kind of, off the grid for a little bit. Know that I love you. And if you want to check in with me, feel free to, but I just will not be initiating the contact right now.
And I love
And if
that
they say we
openness.
get it,
Mm-hmm.
then you've got a good tribe.
That openness and that honesty and communication.
Yes.
So many times I've seen in my own personal life where my unspoken expectations of somebody else has been what's ruined the relationship. Is I
Yes.
never let them know what I expected. I never asked them what they expected from me. And so then these hurt feelings would happen because these unspoken expectations.
Correct.
And
You
then
have
we
to
drift
you
apart. So
have
that
to be
honesty.
able to lower your guard. And that's hard.
Oh my
To be
gosh, yes.
vulnerable,
Yes.
oh, that can be a discussion in itself on how to be vulnerable. Like that can be next week's conversation. I really don't care. But
Join us in
you know,
October when we talk
yeah,
vulnerability. Woo, that'll be fun. And then we'll follow up with maybe shame. Yeah, let's all talk
yeah,
shame.
yes, yes. And the fear of judgment,
Oh,
the fear of
yes.
stigma, right? Let's throw in mental health with it, right?
Oh, absolutely. So I want to take another little pause here and see if there's any, because we're approaching the end of the time. Any other thoughts or suggestions about what has worked for you for building your own? Maybe it's a mafia, maybe it's a support system, whatever you want to refer to it. What else have people tried? What else have people succeeded in building out there? How have they built how have you built your support systems? And again, you can put it into the chat. You can just unmute. We'll recognize you, raise your hand, however you would like to do it. I also totally understand that this is occurring over lunch hour. And so there may be people that are literally munching right now or helping kids to get their stuff. So totally understand, no judgment. Okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Any final words, Pearl,
You know,
on
I
the
would
family
also
support
suggest
system?
that not just looking at like your place of worship and school, but therapy centers. Um, if you know that you're doing ABA, or for example, and you're at the center and another parent's waiting for their kid, strike up a conversation. You never know where it's going to lead.
And I
And
like that when you said that, I think about the analogy that you made with a lottery ticket.
yeah,
It may take 6 or 7 attempts, but you're going to find gold somewhere.
you have to be resilient. And that saying of nothing worth having ever comes easy is what I live by when I was searching for my mom-fia. And we're 7 deep now. And we have kids in high school and elementary school and middle school, and we've got some that are, you know, newborns that we're just like, oh my God, why were you doing it again? But they know that we're teasing, right? They know that we're teasing because, but I'm planning a baby shower for one next month. You know, and I'm a grandma now. So like my thought process of where I am in my house is very different from where they are. But again, no judgment. If she gets tired and she needs a break from baby, guess what? I'm gonna drive over there at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna play with the baby, rock the baby to sleep. No judgment, because that is the foundation of our group. Is there's no judgment, and they know that we are a safe place, that we can talk about the ugly stuff. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. We do not talk about it to our spouses. We do not talk about it to anybody outside of our group. It is something that the trust to build that took a long time,
Mhm.
but you have to be willing to be vulnerable and give it a try. Because if you don't try, you'll never have it. But if you keep trying, eventually you will get it. And if anybody needs me in their mom-fia group, I'm willing. I'm willing to listen, even though I'm way up here in the boondocks and so far away that I might not be able to physically come and grab the baby for you for a few hours, but I can at least talk you off a ledge or listen to you cry or listen to you vent. I'm willing to help build your group until you can get established with a more personalized group for you.
So given that, knowing that we are recording, Pearl, would it be okay if I like added
Yeah,
your email
yeah,
to when we post the
yeah,
recording so that people who
yep,
hear this sit there and go, oh, that's exactly what I need right now,
yep.
that they can reach
Feel
out to
free. Feel
you?
free. I travel all over the state. I go to 7 Mile for tacos once a month with my girls. Well, my ride or die ones. The other ones are they're too tired and they're sleeping and they're not going to do it and wake up at 6 in the morning to go get tacos in Milwaukee. But you
Someone's
know,
got it, but
I have a couple that will do it with me. The
yeah.
drop of a hat. I'm like, hey, I'm craving tacos. When are we leaving? Whose car are we taking? Right. So I can at least be a sounding board for those that may need it.
Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you, Pearl. Thank you, Amanda, for joining in the conversation. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I just love the fact that there are groups that get together and listen and talk together, and that's the way that I grow, and that's the way that I learn. We will be posting this recording. We'll let you know when it's posted. We'll also be sending a very short evaluation as we try to determine what else we can talk about on conversations from showing up for kids. So thank you all for being here. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Bye-bye.